Can you get demons from baptism? That may be one of the strangest questions I've ever posed in a blog. Before you think I've raised an irreverent issue, hear me out. First, let's consider the meaning and purpose for baptism across a broad theological spectrum. Its significance ranges from a symbol to a sacrament, the latter a practice associated with Catholicism. Sacraments are considered an impartation of divine grace in some religious groups. Certain denominations hold that baptism is part of the salvation process, a spiritually regenerating act, not just an emblem of being cognitively aware of following Christ. On one hand, are the Baptist traditions. The baptism is a public declaration of faith, one's conscious decision to follow Christ. That requires what is known as believer's baptism, full immersion after some outward confession of Christ as Savior. Catholics and some more liturgical traditions practice what's called infant baptism. This is generally considered to be an initiation into faith. Usually, parents and godparents, spiritual sponsors, they all make promises to look after and nurture the faith of the child, who later is expected to proclaim faith personally in what is called confirmation. The Catholic Church believes that baptism is also what's known as a minor exorcism. The official catechism of the Church of Rome declares that baptism signifies liberation from sin and its instigator, the devil. I teach on this topic at Bob Larson University, where I also point out that after the Reformation, Martin Luther continued this tradition with Lutheran baptisms. It's clear from church history that some Christian groups have at least officially believed that baptism can rid a person of demons. But is it possible to get a demon from baptism? That's a trickier subject. Let me begin by saying that if a soul is unprotected and open to evil because of bloodline curses or personal sin, demons can claim almost any excuse to oppress or invade an individual soul. Yes, I have known of cases whereby a demon used baptism as a legal right of entry. Well, how is that? If the one baptizing is living in unconfessed sin, the submission of the one seeking baptism can, on rare occasion, form a soul bond that allows the evil in the one performing the baptism to pass on spiritual oppression to the one receiving baptism. I've done exorcisms on people who, in ignorance, submitted themselves to a pastor or pastoral representative who, by the act of baptism and the laying on of hands, transmitted a measure of evil to the unsuspecting supplicant. My advice is don't be paranoid, but be careful. Before engaging the rite of procedure of baptism, know who is baptizing you. A little due diligence will provide a measure of protection. Demons don't play fair, and if a person has generational susceptibilities to evil, demons may take advantage to infect the spiritual seeker. If someone is going to baptize you, ask a few questions about that person. What is their claim to such spiritual authority? Are they a seasoned, respected representative of some church or denomination? Is the baptism sanctioned by oversight, such as an established church? Baptism is personally identifying with the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ. It symbolizes being buried with Christ in baptism and rising from the water to a new life in Jesus. It's one of the most sacred moments in life. Know who lays hands on you in baptism. If you are sprinkling a child as a parent or sponsor, do a little investigation on the spiritual qualifications regarding the officiant. Whatever you believe about when or how a baptism is performed, beware that the recipient may form a soul tie with the one baptizing. It may be extremely rare, but I can attest that it is possible to get a demon. If the conditions for baptism are a perfect storm of evil, you can get a demon from baptism.
Your financial support and prayers make it possible for us to bring hope for the hurting and freedom to those in spiritual bondage. For the latest information regarding ministry outreaches, go to boblarson.org or call 303-980-1511.